All right, we should be on live now. Hello, everybody.
My phone's ringing.
Don't drink it, dude.
Sorry.
Oh, my goodness. Welcome to Be Awesome Together. I am Charles McFall, Rock Out of Podcasting. And tonight is a celebration of 20 years of being a professional digital media creator. And I have some very special guests on with me. But along with this special guest, I have my tag along, my Tyler Durden of digital media, if you will. Phil Keating's going to be here tonight asking all the stupid questions and moderating as I start drinking and just ride this train. But the two guys who really, really mistakenly opened up the door to me letting me get on their shows to create content and do dumb bits and try out stupid ideas, and whatever reason gave me encouragement, and whatever reason actually took me to Vegas for the very first time ever and ruined me for life. My boys, Andy and Randy of Two Guys, One Brain.
Hello there.
Howdy.
You know, we've always talked about not needing podcasting pants, but I didn't think you'd really be on the shitter doing the show.
The acoustics are good in here.
All right, we can start.
And that's how you sum up Charles McFall's 20 years in digital media.
Come on.
Too soon.
Not soon enough, says thousands of people.
So before you jump in, we do have to give a disclaimer. This, like I said, this is literally 20 years in the making. There's no holds barred. No, we're uncensored tonight. There will be beverages drinking, and you don't know what you're going to hear. So watch and listen at your own risk.
And at some point, Andy and I will both be standing up.
Not going to happen.
I just don't understand why you need a safety vest to take a crap.
Well, I first of all, you can't be too careful. There's been incidents. And secondly, I'm actually in at the ribbon cutting for the 2G 1B library in Lillehammer, Norway.
You deserve it. You deserve it.
Toilet swirl opposite over there, I guess.
Yeah, they do. I checked that out. And next week we get we came to Lillehammer because since the Olympics, it's been a lot easier to get a building permit over here.
Okay.
And if we sign a 3-month lease, we get a lutefisk on the Dock of Fame. So
you can't beat that, man. You can't beat it. Congratulations.
Thanks.
It's the one and only award you deserve. I do believe.
Yes.
The one and
You introduced me to the world of podcast awards, and you call them the potties. So you thought that was the best name for them, and I agree.
We had a big campaign to win a potty. It never happened.
And then it seems like that's most people that have campaigns that actually create good content. I also was up for about 4 potties and came up empty fist. I love that name, and it completely sums up the legitimacy of the podcast awards.
Yeah, well, you got nominated at least.
Yeah, well, through money. But we're not talking about Todd Cochran tonight. We're talking about Charles McFall.
Well, I want to jump a gun a little bit. One of the things that you really, really, truly changed my life, and I didn't drink any alcohol until I met Andy and Randy. And now I'm a big fan of the Scotch.
Nice.
So tonight I am breaking out my special bottle of Highland Park 17-year single malt.
Highland Park, excellent choice. I recall one show where he called in to be a guest for the entire show. And then Andy and I got to listen to him pass out and snore for 15, 20 minutes.
And then he
all right, old man.
I think he threw up.
Yeah.
No, that's it. I threw up. I did not pass out. Mike Ballard passed out. I threw up.
Yeah.
So for the people that don't know Randy and Andy and the gentleman who gives such great handies, what is Two Guys, One Brain? Could you explain what the show was and how this shaved Bigfoot somehow made it to your neck of the internet?
It does technically still exist. I still pay for the hosting. All 550 some shows are still there.
Yeah, they are.
I think much like my boat, the link or the feed is broken. I don't think that works. But if you know the address, you can go there and listen to all the shows. Maybe someone smarter than me could fix that. But anyway, 20 some years ago, my daughter Emma, engineer Emma from the show, had a birthday, and I bought her one of those newfangled, had just came out iPods to put music on. Little guy, holds a lot of songs. So I got that. I was trying to set it up. Had to download iTunes, which I'd never heard of up until then. And when you get on iTunes, the first thing I heard was Adam Curry pimping podcasts. And I thought, well, there was like Adam Curry and 5 other guys doing podcasts, and they were terrible. And Andy and I were hanging out at work, and I told him, hey, there's this podcast thing we could do. I was always sort of a frustrated DJ. Andy was a frustrated Weird Al Yankovic. And so we wanted to put a show. We thought we could put a show together that was at least as good as those. And basically we started recording just to make each other laugh. And
it took a while. Took a while to get good, but in my opinion, good. If
you throw away the first 10 and the last 10, those 530 in the middle are okay.
And to think that Charles is still doing it 20 years later, chasing that purple dragon as it runs down the street.
They're full of shit though. I think I started listening at like episode 12. My episode 17 I'd written in, and I thought they were professionals. They sounded great. But you talked about going on a show to launch my first podcast at Blacking Out. Welcome to the stage, Kevin Destruction.
Kevin!
Oh my. What's up, guys?
Nice to see you.
He's so tiny. I can't see him either.
I looked at Kevin on Facebook today.
Oh wow.
So yeah, Kevin, I reached out to him too. I was like, I can't do 20 years without talking about Kevin. If we're gonna talk about Kevin, we got to see Kevin.
Well, 2 of the 5 boxes on the screen right now recorded theme songs for the 2G1B show.
Yep.
Oh my.
I still have it.
Do you really?
Song.
Hey, speaking of Mike Ballard, this is the only thing I could find that was
some Mike's Hard Lemonade.
Yeah. And hey, but to be fair, okay,
Too big.
I took a raw egg, an entire jar of peanut butter, and then I chased it with a Viagra. So priming the pumps here.
So
I mean, we're sponsored by Blue Chew, but we'll fix that in post.
I meant Blue Chew. I chewed it up. I got to taste it. Come on.
Nice.
And that's those are all basically true stories of what we started out doing. So Phil, where do you want to take this shit show?
Well, first and foremost, I want to thank you, the friends of juries and gentlemen coming in today. Randy, Andy, and newly met Kevin. I don't think you guys understand what fucking hell you 3 have brought upon this world. Somehow giving him the moniker of the undeserved rock god of anything is absurd. This man has been running a terror through the digital space for 20 years now, and I kind of see y'all as the historical figures that told Hitler, you're not good enough at doing art, so find some other hobbies to do.
Point taken.
All right.
That's right. We did.
Yeah.
I mean, to be realistic, he introduced himself to us as the rock god of podcasting. We didn't.
Well,
come up
sure,
with that.
Randy, but I also get fucking idiots reaching out to me daily asking to be on the show, and I can say, no, sir or madam, you are an insane person, and I don't want to have anything to do with you. It's very funny.
Times a day.
Well,
You know what? It's funny because
he was basically our second person that wrote in. We had Andrus Mann from Austria, and then Big C wrote in, and we just kind of felt like a big deal after that. So he pumped our ego, so
I pumped something, that's for sure.
yeah, and we were all hoping that they would pump the brakes, but here we are 20 years later, man. So we're just gonna get it out of the way. Why and how did you come up with this ridiculous moniker of the rock god of podcasting, because for me, right, and I'm already going off of the coattails that y'all have laid out before us. When I describe Charles McFall for the first time, he's the Guy Fieri of podcasting, right? That is how I would introduce him. Flame shirt, stupid facial hair, sometimes with like a Wolverine scratch in it, and literally like just shave it off already, Charles. Why are you still giving yourself a faux hawk? So why and where did this come from? Why is this, or how is this the name that you landed that he has been using for the last 20 years?
Well, I still have my bear crawling shirt. I was going to wear that today. It doesn't fit. I think it shrunk.
Yeah.
Anyway. Then, I think he was the rock god of podcasting. He was playing music for his own show. That's how we got him to play music for our show. One of the things that happened, Charles is just one of many super talented people, like way more talented than us. They would call and we would talk to them and we would think, oh, great, we're entertaining some people. And then they would just blow us away with their talent. And Charles was no different. He had a whole band play our theme song for us. He played other things for us. He did a lot of production stuff for us. There you go. That's it. Doesn't fit anymore. Where'd you dig that up?
Your Facebook page, actually. Oh. I went digging deep for some photos.
All right. Well, that's the one I would have sent you. So
I love it. I'm trying to find the facial hair you're referring to because I have that picture too. Here we go. This one is about 70 pounds heavier for sure.
It's all in the facial hair, probably.
There's that.
Yeah. I don't think it's changed.
Look at those posters you got up there, big guy.
Sexy beast.
Yeah, no, I tried. I was inspired by Kevin Destruction and these two awesome radio hosts, Andy and Randy, who deemed it worthy to put my name on their lips when they read my email. And I just was beside myself. Got sent in a jailer story. And then I asked you, well, what's it like working a jail in Vancouver, Canada? And what's it like doing this in Vancouver, Canada? And the very next episode, they went, this fucking moron thinks we're in Canada and we're in Washington. And no, they were actually much kinder than that. But yeah.
Common mistake.
Oh, for sure.
Did you tell him the jailer story about how we met, Charles?
No.
Charles and I actually met in prison. And Randy and Andy helped. Wait a minute. Never mind. I can't incriminate anybody here, but
I'm sure it's been 20 years. I'm sure the limitations have already passed through.
There's nobody better at that kind of a joke, by the way. There's nobody better.
And Randy was already talking about the talented lips of Mr. McFall, so we want to hear the rest of the story, Kevin.
Well,
that's my prison photo right there.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I remember that from below.
Jesus. How did you find Two Guys One Brain?
Actually, through you.
Really?
Yeah. Mike found you, and then and it was like within a week. And we found Two Guys, One Brain, and Mike would call up and do the what the fuck ever he was doing.
Mike sent very long phone messages and even longer email messages, and they were just a scream from beginning to end. Like,
I don't think you guys really understand how much that guy could drink. Like he started off, he never drank in his life. And then he needed to figure out how to go to sleep because he would stay up for like 48 hours at a time. And finally he found the beautiful vodkas and it killed him.
Yeah.
No, I don't know. I don't know if he's alive or
no.
I haven't heard from him in like 10 years.
He's out there like David Carradine, just wandering the desert.
I'm pretty sure he's a U.S. senator at this point, right? Mike Regan, that's who you're talking about? Pennsylvania representative of the Republican Party, Mike Regan, senator.
Can you imagine Can you imagine a politician with a mind like Mike's out there?
Oh,
I mean,
Lord.
he's got my fucking vote. I'm sorry, guys.
No, we are saying that stuff tonight. And this is actually a picture of all 5 of us. Figure out which one's Mike in that photo.
There you go. That was Vegas.
Right next to you. 7707, boys.
That's right.
Wow, you can see all of Mike's face right there.
Yeah.
It wasn't hiding.
It was like pulling teeth to find some of these photos too, by the way.
That was awesome.
Yeah, that was a good trip.
That was one where I was broke as hell, wanted to come. You guys have been doing the show for 5 years ish at that point.
Yeah,
no, 4-ish years. And I've been doing segments, and I was like, man, I'm not gonna be able to come. And this, that, like 4 days before the trip, because this was supposed to be a big thing for Two Guys One Brain. All the people come out and meet us in Vegas, and 7707 it'll never happen again. And like 4 days, Randy calls me up and he's like, hey man, so if we get you a ticket and you come stay with us, would you come? I'm like, holy shit, let me see if I can get off of work. And I went to my boss, I'm like, I'm leaving. My boys are flying me to Vegas. No, I think it's 2 days. Like in 2 days, I'm getting on a plane. And it was, God, I had to work all day before I got on the plane. And then I got out to Vegas with a time difference. And then Andy thought it was hilarious to introduce me to the yard.
Oh yeah.
That's the first drink you put in my hand. And then that motherfucker started calling me medium C all night. And I was too drunk to fight him. So it was good.
Yeah, there is a picture that was taken not long after that picture, or maybe before. I don't know the timeline, but Big C is standing on the Vegas Strip, and he's got me under one arm and Andy under the other arm.
Yeah, I think it was like a 36-hour turnaround. Like I couldn't stay long. So y'all were waiting on me to get in my car. Man.
He's large, like compared to the rest of us, normal humans, very large. You don't really see it. You can't. It doesn't translate on here, but
I know he's like 7'26".
Yeah, if
he's
you look at the picture, you can see he's taller than all the rest of us for sure.
When he came to my house last year, he had to duck to get into the front door.
So Charles surprised me at one of my weddings, and I didn't know.
I almost got naked for that one too. Yeah, Andy almost taught me into being naked.
I didn't know he was. But Andy drove a Dodge pickup at the time, a big 4-wheel drive diesel Dodge pickup, and he pulled into my driveway. And in the back of his truck, there was a tarp. It looked like it had been thrown over like a Volkswagen Bug or something. And we're standing in the driveway talking, and all of a sudden, without warning, Charles throws the tarp off, and it took years off of my life for sure, but that's how he announced that he was arrived for my wedding.
Yeah,
subtlety is Charles's specialty.
Yes, he was not naked at the time.
I seriously considered it, because that was there was some running joke we had about that if I show up naked, something would happen. I don't remember. And Andy was like egging that thing on until we got to your house,
because he wouldn't be the one who got arrested.
Yeah,
he's got his drink in one hand, his dick in the other. I mean, what more can you ask for a wedding? I mean, talk about a surprise.
Well, I mean, and it was a good one. You know, it was of all my marriages, it was the shortest one, and I blame Charles. So
you're welcome. You're
hold on. I also got divorced after I met Charles McFall.
You're also welcome.
Wow.
Wait, so did I.
I've been divorced several times since I met Charles.
Well, to be fair, Kevin, no.
No. Hey, nothing's off limits here, man.
Okay, to be fair, after you met me, your wife killed herself. That's different.
Yeah, it's true, man. Yeah.
So I wouldn't
say
she's
rotting in hell right now.
Man.
Whoa, did I say that?
Andy,
a little rough in here.
To my knowledge, Andy, are you still married to the lovely and talented Jody?
Yes, I am.
Good.
He's a quitter. He gets married once, and then he thinks he's done.
It's too much work.
Try again.
Yeah.
Look, I know the whole prophecy that was written in the before times was that when I met engineer Emma, she would then later go on to Paris and do all this stuff. But because it's me, it really went sideways. And because of Emma, she got turned off of all men when she saw me. And now she's a happy lesbian making some awesome music.
She's a very happy lesbian, and she's been as far as Mexico, I believe.
And Emma, you're welcome. I'm glad you found your happiness.
There's still time. She is an aspiring musician, though, Kevin.
Really?
Yeah, she's a drummer in a couple of bands here in Portland.
No kidding.
Yeah,
what kind of music?
You can see her on the interwebs. It's much less hard than what you guys play. More hippie poet stuff. So
I like that stuff too.
I'll send you some links. I have some on my Facebook if you ever get around there.
Yeah, dude, send them to me, man. That'd be cool.
So you're like an actual professional, like make money at it musician, though.
Oh well, I took the last little while off of it.
Yeah,
last little while being 20 years, but that's all right.
What an extremely talented guy Kevin is. Like
he really is.
Oh.
Many people blew us away. They would contribute, and it would just be so much better than anything we were doing. Kevin is no exception. Fantastic guitar player.
Oh, thank you. I learned a lot about things on the road, and I realized that's a tough gig, man. That is it's fun, but I'm old, and
well, yeah,
that man, driving 24 hours straight to get to a gig, and then half the gigs back out on the way out. You're like, because you have shitty management and everything. But yeah, it's pretty crazy. And I didn't drink. By the way, this is the first drink I've had in like 8 years. So thanks.
We've ruined.
God damn it!
Oh no, the wagon. The wagon.
I've been in 4 rehabs. No, I'm just
You can never tell what's true when
he wrote the soundtrack to Amy Winehouse's movie.
Back to Black, man. Well, never mind. You were talking about chasing the purple dragon.
So when's the last time the 4 of you have actually sit down all in one room and talk together? How long has it actually been?
What, 7707?
Yeah, probably.
Maybe.
It seems like we got together once or twice after that.
So two guys, you got to a point where schedules weren't letting you do regular shows, but you did a couple of special episodes, the last 3 or 4, where I remember one of the last ones you did had a bunch of people at your house, like participating, and I was in on that visually.
For 500 and some odd episodes, we talked about all of our coworkers and we gave them code names. We wouldn't use real names. We gave them code names. We didn't talk about any inmates that we referred to. We never used their real name. They're not our stories to tell necessarily, right? Things that happen in jail, stay in jail. But some of it was just too funny. And so Andy and I, if we weren't working together, we'd have little notepads and write down notes. And then we'd run into each other at lunch and Andy would say, "Oh God, I got a good one. I can't tell you about it until Saturday." Right. And he'd put it back in his pocket. So the majority of our show was just me and Andy making each other laugh, but then people started getting involved and looking forward to it and contributing and having ideas and honestly, at some point it felt like there was some pressure for us because sometimes we wouldn't put out a show. It's self-regulated, so if you don't feel like it doesn't happen. We get emails, we get phone calls and emails. "Hey man, I had to drive to work and listen to the radio."
Somehow I became like the designated chief of the fan club, because if y'all didn't put something out, I would get messages on Facebook like, "Hey, where they put on the show?" It's like, I don't know, because I'm not a producer. I just do fun shit.
So for 500 episodes, we talked about all these coworkers that we had, and we always wanted to get them all together in a room and get them to tell their own versions of those stories, and we could never make it happen. And then when it finally did happen, it depends on who you ask. Some people say it was good. Some people say it was a train wreck because they don't know how to wait their turn. They don't know how to speak in a microphone. They were drunk. We made them a lot funnier than they actually were, apparently. So I don't know. The last show I believe that we have on our feed is the show in my living room with 20 of our coworkers trying to tell stories.
And
was
pretty
a little longer too. And Randy, if you want to go back and listen to it, because I listened to it not too long ago, it wasn't as bad as I remembered.
It never is.
No,
it
was
really never is.
Minute, like last 5 minutes, and we just killed it because we knew we were falling off the edge. But overall, it wasn't bad. But before I listened to it again, I thought it was awful, and just thought that might have been the demise of our show, and didn't have motivation to go back and do it.
So real quick, I got just a nerdy logistical question. So Andy, when you guys were recording these first 500 episodes, were you both in the same room when you were doing this, or were you doing it over Skype? Yep. And were you just using like a basic ass GarageBand to record your audio? Like on the technical-esque side of things? Because the only reason I ask is because like podcasting and digital creation has changed so much, not only in the last, let's say, 5 years. I started about 9 years ago, and already right now it's a lot easier than it was 9 years ago. So like, I'm just trying to wrap my head around like in the early aughts when y'all started this, like what the heck were you working with, and how did you actually figure out how to get your shows out to the masses?
It has surpassed us 1,000 times since we started. Like I said, it was us and 5 other guys, so the competition was not fierce. And I think I had a tower computer at the time, but shortly after that, I bought a laptop. I got a mixing board that would mix 2 mics or 3 mics, I can't remember. And I got it to plug into USB, and through trial and error, we got it to record. The first couple shows, very low, couldn't hear anything. I didn't know why. It turned out they were powered mics, and I didn't know that.
Oh, the phantom power wasn't turned on.
Yeah, so I had to figure out phantom power on my own. And then we had shows, like our first show, I think, is 5 or 6 minutes long because we were talking to each other, and then I think one or both of us just got giddy with excitement and said, let's listen to it right now. And so we turned it off and listened back to it like we were idiots. But so we made the files and then kind of figured out how to get them on the internet. We had the computer and the microphones and sort of figured out how to get them to work. And I wasn't even smart enough for GarageBand. We used it was a free program that I got, and it would like convert the sound files into little icons. So when you clicked them, they would play, and that is my speed. So that's what I used for the longest time. We did a couple hundred shows that way with old antiquated equipment.
I love it.
Crappy, free from the internet software. And then we got a bunch of listeners who were smarter than us.
Literally guerrilla radio. Like,
yeah. We got guys who were smarter than us, Jeff in LA being one, Tim and Nanette in Atlanta being another, who would call us up and take pity on us. They were like, listen, man, if you'll just record the show and upload it to here, this is Tim, I will dedicate a computer in my house to getting it on your feed for you. And he did that. And I honestly think that's why our feed doesn't work anymore, because that computer probably broke. He did that. He dedicated a PC in his house to maintain our feed. All I had to do was put the show somewhere, and he would do all the rest. So honestly, it's a miracle that anyone ever heard it.
Yeah, but I love what you're saying, because like the show that I run, right, we're not that big, but we have such a huge community behind it. And we were kind of doing the same thing where we found this old, it was really like a 4-track, right? And we just recorded right into it. And after doing about 70 episodes, we had people reach out like, hey, look, dummy, we like you enough. Please let us help you, because this could be so much better. And then that snowball started to roll down the hill, and we've just picked up so many different weirdos throughout the years to kind of just put their input in and help push out a better product for everybody.
Yeah, we got music from listeners. We got bumpers from listeners. We got technology from listeners. One of my weddings, we got a new computer for a wedding gift.
Yeah, that was when I was at.
Yeah, because we produced 10 unlistenable shows. Like, it was glitchy and skippy, and it wouldn't work. And we uploaded them anyway. And people were calling us up like, hey, I tried to listen to that. I just couldn't. Could you send me the file? I ended up emailing the file to people so they could hear the shows because they wanted to hear them, and we couldn't get them online. So we don't exist without Mike and and Kevin and Charles and Tim, Nanette, lots of others, Jeff and LA.
Andy, are you airing out your armpits, or you got a question, sir?
Nah, I'm just bored.
He might be.
I'm just bored.
He spent a lot of time bored.
you guys, honestly, we used to wait for you guys to put a new episode out, like every week or however often you do it. We'd be waiting. Same with you, Big C. Oh, look now, Big C. Like, going back. That's all I cared about. So just so I'd have something to listen to, and felt like it was such a tight community that.
The nice thing about having that many shows up is, like, Andy has recently gone back through and listened to them all and found ones that we don't remember. Like, he would play something for me. I don't remember that at all. My kids have all independently gone through and listened to those shows, and they're on some of those shows, and they remember. It's a 20-year time capsule of what life was like right then at that moment. And that's pretty rare. I mean, that's really something when you think about it.
Yeah,
it is true. I mean, I don't remember recording our first two seasons because of just being blacked out for most of them. But then you'll have people coming up like, "Hey man, you remember that joke from episode 9?" It's just like, no, I don't. But I'm glad you liked it, man.
I get emails even more vague than that. I'll get one that just say, "Hey, dear Andy and Randy, same thing happened to me, but the raccoon died. Love the show." And they don't know what they're talking about.
Well, I loved at later in the years, I got this wild hair to do 5 and 5. It was a tight 5 minutes of the last 5 episodes y'all had produced at the 10s, right? And I would cut my favorite bits and I would send it in, and y'all play on like episode 6 in the format. My favorite thing, Andy, is you listen to it and you're like, I don't remember saying that. Like, one of the things is you would not drink spring water because it had fish jizz in it, because fish have jizz in the water. So you went, and I cut that. You're like, I don't remember that at all, but that's right. I'm not drinking. You remember?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. 5 and 5. There's so many segments that we had on our show that just sort of, for whatever reason, fizzled out, faded away. And also, I heard you say, for whatever reason, a few times. I say it all the time. Andy says it all the time. Tim and Nanette started a podcast and they called it For Whatever Reason. And in their intro, they used all of our voices saying that randomly and sewed them all together. Just thought I'd throw that out there.
Andy, what's one of your earliest memories of doing that show?
Well, the very first show was very memorable because, like Randy said, I think most of all, we wanted to make sure it actually recorded. And then we got the ending. We got the beginning and the ending of every show on the test show. So it kind of morphed, Screw You Frenchie. That. Right? And then the Dos Patos Un Cerebro. Yep. That
it was un cabeza on the first show.
Yeah, I did cabeza because I didn't know what brain was at the time.
You guys one head.
Yeah. So yeah, it was pretty cool. And then I just have great memories of sitting in Randy's studio and listening to the show after we did it. We're so narcissistic.
Yeah.
No, see, that's the beauty. This is one of the things I learned from you guys. 100% learned. You never truly hated your show. You didn't get on and say you hated your voices. You didn't get on and say, I don't know why we're doing this. You did make the jokes about the one person listening, even though because of all the feedback you had more. But you were so excited about your stories and about what you did. And like you said, Randy, you went ahead and put stuff on the internet, even if it was Skippy. You didn't care because you loved it. And that, I wanted to love like that. And that's why I jumped in and started doing things. And you idiots let me fucking do it on your show. And it was brilliant.
And it's Andy's lack of attention to detail is the coattails you've been riding on for 20 fucking years, Charles.
I have made a brand out of not remembering shit. So,
and also just glitchy internet and shitty feeds and all this. Have the 3 of you stayed up to date with what Charles McFall does on the internet?
Oh, wait, no. Let me answer that for you. I said, hey, when I had an inspiration for this, I'm like 20 years in August. I started listening to Two Guys, One Brain in August. And by the end of August, I'd written into them and I was starting to create with them. And I was like, they got to be on. And I wrote, I was like, hey, you guys may or may not know that I am now, because of you, I am now the digital media track director for Dragon Con and newly appointed to the spokesperson team. And I really want you guys to have on. The first thing Randy said was, I don't know what any of that shit is, but sure.
Yeah. Yeah. Sorry, Andy.
Yeah, I just don't follow that, so sorry.
Just like Randy's marriages, Charles has had multiple failed podcasts throughout the last 20 years.
I wouldn't say failed. I got a free T-shirt out of most of them. I can go almost a week.
Do you know what Charles's biggest podcast that he ever did was? Do you guys have any idea?
Biggest meaning listenership?
Listenership, but also community around it.
No, couldn't say.
It was a show about Pokemon.
Oh dear God!
Oh yeah, we knew that.
I know, but
No.
I was
Yeah,
I was the moron.
we were there.
Joe was the pro. Yeah,
Is that the one where you was running around and you had to catch them with your phone?
Caught them
Yeah.
all. Yeah.
yeah.
And I believe they even was a big enough community where they had you dress up as one of the Pokemons for your live streams and whatnot.
Yeah,
Is that true?
it's in my closet. Yeah,
Yeah.
I got a stupid Snorlax onesie, an adult onesie that I had to wear because the audience did whatever the thing was they had to do to make me wear it.
How'd you get away with that, dude? I got arrested for that.
It's not Utah. That's
everybody in his county. Everybody in his county is homeschooled, so there's no area you can't be here.
Charles bottoms on.
Yeah.
Oh my god. So you guys came up with some crazy different ideas for merchandise. You had some poker chips that were awesome, very much suiting the brand. You had some t-shirts, but you guys, and I still have it. I mean, you had a thong at one point. You had
Please
all
say
kinds of
butt
things.
plug. Please say butt
No,
plug.
you guys sent me the 2G1 condom, and it says 2X shirt, but really it's a condom for me. But there, I still have my
look
Two
at
Guys, One Brain t-shirt.
I think there's only one of
What you
those
got?
in existence.
Well, there it is.
Oh,
my
my.
prized possession. I've held on to that like nobody's. I'd never fit into it in the first place. I don't know why I bought a 2X. Oh yeah. By the way, they bought me a plane ticket to Vegas. So I felt like I needed to buy all their merch. So I had cups and all kind of cool stuff.
I think there was Christmas decorations and coasters and all kinds
Yeah.
of stuff in there. You know,
And-
the only
and-
person who bought any was Charles.
Well, I think nowadays this generation would call me a stalker, but then I was just your biggest fan. Still am. But you guys remember Kevin and Mike doing Kickback Theater?
No.
Oh, okay,
boy.
yes, Kickback Theater with the table saw, yes.
Yeah, the table saw.
Yeah.
So Kevin, please explain to Phil, because he'll love this. Explain to Phil what Kickback Theater was.
Please.
So we built a ramp into a table saw, a 10 horsepower table saw. And you know, the blade turns towards you. So if you're feeding the table saw, the blade turns towards you. So we fashioned a ramp on the opposite side of it, and then we would try to hit targets in the shop with it. So we'd shove a piece of wood down it, it'd hit the blade, and swung, it'd just go flying. You know, blades are turning at 5,000 RPMs. You know.
Accidental kickbacks will go completely through a person.
Yeah.
Yes.
And they were doing this for entertainment in the shop.
Yeah, this
we're
isn't the
doing it
first
for-
Kevin. This is Kevin number 4.
Andy and Randy never condoned that.
I could.
There's nobody here, Mr. Belofsky. We're all holograms.
I condone it to the point that you actually dedicated one to me. I don't remember
Yeah.
what the hell y'all fed into it, but after they broke the blade, they signed it to to Charles Rock Out Pocket, blah 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 blah. Took a video of it. I still to this day do not have that motherfucking blade. Mike never nailed it, and I held him up. I mean, for years. I'm like, Mike, where's my blade? He's like, oh, I put it in the mail last week. I'm like, fuck every time. Oh
Really?
yeah.
He swore to me he mailed that to you. We had a big deal about that. We were a terrible podcast. Our management, they backed out. No, I'm just kidding. We didn't have any management. We didn't
My
give a fuck.
son Dave loved your show. He listened to it on Graveyard, worked at a grocery store.
Really?
Stocking shelves. He loved that show. He loved it.
Oh my.
Yeah.
Wow. We did
good.
something right.
Yeah. He thought you guys were hilarious.
I don't know what we were thinking. I mean, the home shows, the one we just did the regular podcast, the short bus stuff, that was just, I mean, 15 minutes in, we're blasted drunk. And and then at work we'd do like the lunch editions and stuff like that, and just everybody else was funny at work. And then Kickback Theater was just our excuse to do like, yeah, there we are. Oh my God.
You still have
It was just
16 followers.
Oh my. I didn't even know that existed.
Yeah, man. Look at that. Look at this. 2018, you and your band as is.
Oh my.
A real live band. A real
the
live
last known
band.
video of Mike before he disappeared.
Yeah, that's up in International Falls, Minnesota.
Hold on, Charles.
Is that after the Truck House truck?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. He sold the Truck House truck. He bought a motorhome home and sold his home in town here in Short Bus Central. And he bought that house basically just sight unseen. He saw it on the internet, paid $32,000 for a 3-bedroom, 2-bath house on 2 acres of property. His backyard was a lake, and moved one day. That was it. Gone. It's like, that's too hot here in Salt Lake City. Just he couldn't handle the summer. So
we met him. I think the first time I actually met him face to face was in the Truck House truck in Vegas. He was camping under an overpass on the freeway. I met he had a little dog in there, I want to say black and white dog. And when I think, Andy, were you with me when we did that?
I didn't meet him in the truck, no.
Okay, we walked. He told us the address, which turned out to be under a freeway. No joke. We get under the freeway, see the Truck House truck. He opens up the back door and steps out, and he gave me the
fish hand?
His hand in ice water and gave me the fish handshake when I met him, and just stared at me silently. It was the weirdest goddamn thing. But
because
exactly
one of your big issues is people who don't do good handshakes. You hated a limp handshake, so he invented the dead fish handshake for you.
Yeah, we talked
that was
about
purposeful,
and he saved it up and risked frostbite. Because I'm not joking. Soaked his hand in ice water and then limp wristed me when he shook my hand, and I couldn't stop laughing.
Charles, I have a quick question.
All right,
that webpage that you had up before. Of the Facebook page? Can you pull that back up real quick?
Yep.
Is that a real phone number?
That's not. This is, yeah. It was, at least. It was a voicemail phone number we used to be able to call and get our voice.
Oh, is that our phone number?
Yeah, that was your show number at some point there. The War Hotline. Intern Alex posted that. But there was actually...
Hold on. Scroll back down, please.
Oh, you're calling it to see what happens?
Yep, give me a second.
Keep talking. Somebody else has that number now for sure.
There was some point where intern Alex he tried to start a flame war with me through the underground short bus. And so I actually recorded. I was like, here's my thoughts about that. And I'm literally sitting in the toilet, much like Randy, and recorded some legit human sound effects of my thoughts on that and sent it to underground short bus, and then never regretted it, actually. But
it was War Eagle, wasn't the cry War Eagle?
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah, War Eagle.
So I'm curious it was the phone number we had several phone numbers, and if we didn't use them often enough, they would revert back and someone else would get them.
Well, I'm going to try to pipe this into my soundboard real quick as we call this phone number. Let me see.
So, Andy.
Yes, sir.
Why did you always say screw you, Frenchie?
Well, it just came from the first episode. Like I said, it's not a great story. I tried to say, what was the word, Randy? It was something French.
Yeah, it was rendezvous or hors d'oeuvre or some commonly used French word, and he messed it up a couple times, and just spontaneously said, "Screw you, Frenchie."
Yeah, you
and
said
that was
that.
the end of the show.
Said it's pronounced.
And every show after that, he ended with "Screw you, Frenchie."
Yeah, you said it's pronounced this way. It's French, and I said, "Screw the French" or something like that.
Yeah, and then for 500 plus episodes, he hated France.
Yeah.
Did you get the number to work, Phil?
It actually is still active,
Okay.
and it goes
Really?
right to a voicemail line.
Interesting.
Wow.
I wonder where it's going to drop the info.
Underground Short Bus has 7,000 unheard messages.
And that's the thing;
I'll
it
have
didn't
to-
say it was full. So either somebody is still checking it, or I don't know. Maybe that's how we get in touch with the long lost Michael.
Mike Ballard.
What if Mike is still out there vigorously?
Mike Awesome,
checking
if
these
you
voice-
are out there, I'm gonna kill you, you son of a bitch. If you're fucking taking those things, damn it.
Yeah, we were all pretty convinced that he had passed.
Yeah, honestly, I poured one out for him at least 3 times.
I mean, just
I
like
listened to the
D.D.
song every
Cooper,
now.
if you've never seen a body, you can't pronounce him dead.
True.
Yeah.
That's true. And he's probably counting on that. That
Yeah.
guy, it's so funny how he lived. It was like, I mean, you got to see him in his truck house truck, right? It's like, he was basically a millionaire.
Had every penny.
I'm not- It's not a joke. He would day trade.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh yeah, he would day trade, and $500 was a bad day for him.
And he still held a job down for a long time. But I remember when he was on your show talking about putting in a skylight. You're like, wait, aren't you in like the middle apartment? And he just went on this hilarious tangent for 5 minutes about how he could burrow up through the other apartment and go through the roof and all this stuff. So like, dude, he was a character to say the least. But
Everybody thought he was a fucking serial killer. And, for all I know, to be fair, he probably was. But, just that look on his face and stuff. And I didn't realize how damn funny he was until he really started drinking. But that guy was like, because he's one of the smartest people I've ever met in my life. I mean, honestly. But we used to do martial arts together. And he's a huge guy. And he's really strong. And so he'd sneak up behind me all the time. Kind of like, in Inspector Clouseau, like, Taylor would sneak up behind him. But get up. My hand is a little weapon. But he would sneak up behind me and put me in a chokehold or something. Like, come on, get out of it before you pass out. Like, fucking nuts.
I know.
It's a miracle I'm alive.
And he truly would. The tagline for your show became Blackout Man, because he would truly back out and he'd get to the point where it's silence and you're sitting there with him and you're like, Mike, nothing. You go, Blackout Man, you hear a Blackout Man. And that was it. That was the end of the show. And what Randy, you referenced earlier, I went on to announce the launch of Bear Crawling and did not intend to keep up with these two guys. And somehow in the course of an hour of recording, went through an entire bottle of McCormick's plastic vodka, 750 liter, and went, oh shit. And then, by the end of that show, where Mike's blacked out and Kevin ends the show, I'm going, and Mike's just laughing. I'm like, keep recording. I'm pretty sure because of Hugh Morrison that I have that recording on my computer. I gotta dig through my file.
My God, I remember that. Oh,
I know that
boy.
we played the exciting parts of it on our show.
Yeah,
Listen to this. Guess what this is? This is maybe dying. Like, we weren't sure that you had survived it.
And I tell you, that was the producer in me, because I told him, y'all played it too. It's like I in the middle of throwing up, like, don't you dare stop recording. And when you played it back on your show, and I didn't know that was coming, I'm driving and I'm in tears listening to you guys laugh at it. And I had to pull over because I couldn't see I'm laughing so hard.
Yes.
That was comedic gold.
And that was the beauty of where we started, right? Is we were all family. We're all wanting to help each other out, make things better. no egos, just let's have some fucking fun. And now I got to work with Phil, who just makes it professional all the time, and it's no fun.
You son of a bitch.
Sorry, somebody has to introduce you to the good word of the Christ Almighty.
We ended up with a pretty fair, what do you call it, demographic of gay men listening to our show.
Oh, yeah.
Well, when it's called bear crawling or two guys, one cup, or whatever the fuck you called it.
If you're looking for two guys, one brain, and you type in two guys and don't go any further.
Two guys giving brain? Yeah, what do you
expect? A lot of gay men found our show.
Kenty.
All are welcome. All are welcome. Listener Ken, good friend of mine, been in my house many times. I can't tell you how many podcast people have been to my house. Ken came out probably the most. He met all my wives. Big C came out a couple of times. We met a couple of times. Last weekend, I went to the shooting range. Andy doesn't even know this, with Kathy Pickles and her husband.
The betrayal and that. That betrayal that Andy felt. Come on, Randy.
And several of our listeners now live in Vancouver. World Traveler Jim lives in Vancouver, Washington now.
Oh, I love Jim.
And Kathy Pickles and her husband live in Vancouver, Washington now. So
I found a picture of where Noah Tall, Joe, came and visited you. As I was scrolling through, oh my God, I haven't seen him in forever.
Well,
because that was your favorite. I might have been a great producer and a segment guy on your show, but Noah Tall was your favorite because of his name.
Yes, and he was in my living room 4 days ago. So, and
wow, all right.
He didn't even live. They lived in, I want to say, DC or somewhere around there. It wasn't in DC.
Somewhere on the East Coast for a while.
Then I know you guys have stopped doing the show years ago, but then you're saying that you still have these relationships that you built with the community outside of the show, even though the show stopped.
Randy does.
Hey, Andy, I slept on in your house, Bubba. I said, fuck Randy. I'm going with Andy.
Plus, though, to be fair to me, every time I invite Andy to something, he says, I don't like people.
A man after my own heart.
A true fucking podcaster.
Chuck and his quality chick wife came to my house on the way somewhere else. They pulled off the freeway at night, came to our house to sign the poster. I called Andy and said, Andy, Chuck is going to be here to sign the poster. And he was like, yeah, I don't like people.
It's partially true, but not. I'm sure I was busy. I'm busy all the time.
But you mentioned the wide array of audience. You had so many different people, and that was the beauty of just being. That's something else I learned from you guys, is being honest about who you are and just genuine. And like Kenty and I actually did a podcast together for a while that you both came on, What I Believe, and we talked about stereotypes and different things like that. And you guys were great comedians, but you were just as good bringing some serious stuff to the table. And what's funny about all that is Randy is an amazing storyteller. Believe it or not, because he's sitting here just patiently waiting his turn. Andy was the comedian, man. You always popped off with those off the cuff jokes that nailed him and inspired all of us to do more humor.
Oh, well, thank you. But Randy's very funny as well. Is that what I was supposed to say, Randy?
Yes, good job. Just
so Andy loves practical jokes. And he inspired me to do a few things, but Randy hates spiders. So Andy, could you share a few stories of the jokes you did on Randy in the jail with spiders?
Well, I don't know specifically spiders, but anytime a spider was around, we'd show him one.
You
actually did something with Scotch tape. Do you remember that?
Officer Nikki did that.
Oh.
She put Scotch tape, little pieces of Scotch tape all over the main control area, knowing Randy was going to be in there next, and she drew little spiders on each one of them. So there were 100 spiders in the room with him when he came in.
And it's touchscreen computers and toggle switches and things you have to reach out and touch with your hands. And everywhere I went to touch had a little fake spider on it. Shortened my life a great deal. Right now, on my locker at work, right now, he says, "Oh yeah." I mean, he says, "No, it wasn't me. It was him." There's a trail of little plastic bugs up the locker and across the top and down onto the floor. He put that there years ago. That's how I can tell my locker now. It's covered with little fake bugs.
I waited 3.5 months for a joke to pay off. Because Randy, what's the number one favorite candy that you have?
Skittles. Yeah.
That's not how you say it. How'd you say it? You said it from the heart as a child. How'd you say it?
I like Skittles.
Skittles. He loves the Skittles. Like, to this day, it is scotch because of you. There you go. Yeah. And what happened to a bag of Skittles that I sent you along with other things?
Andy and I used to do a lot of camping, a lot of four-wheeling, quadding. We take our families out to the sand dunes and our campers and every weekend just about. And we're out there doing our thing, camping, picnic tables, sand, sun. And I have a bag of Skittles, which I often did, and they were opened up and laying on the picnic table. I like them when they get really hot. They're soft when they get hot, so I leave them in the sun. Pro tip. So the Skittles are laying on the picnic table, and now it's gotten dark. I got my bag of Skittles. I reach in, take a big old handful. Well, there was a centipede in there. And I put it in my mouth, and I bit it. And it popped and exploded centipede goo in my mouth. And it was one of the most horrendous experiences of my life. It was terrible. So, of course, I talked about it on the show. It kind of put me off Skittles for a while. I have to a sealed container now. I changed my life a little bit. And months later, I get a care package from Big C, as we knew him at the time. And it showed up, and one of the things in there was a giant shareable bag of Skittles. And I was ecstatic because, as we've established, my favorite. So I think on the show even, I cut it open, stuck my hand in, and just pulled out this big, rubbery, 1,000-leg centipede. Skittles everywhere, right? Was not expecting it. He waited long enough. The comedy grenade, as it were.
Oh, I took a scalpel and sliced up along the seam of the bag. This bag of Skittles. There's a big bag of Skittles, and I stuffed it full of these plastic spiders and centipedes and whatnot, and then seamlessly taped it back up and folded it back over, and then waited. I feel like the
CIA needs to be involved checking his mail because it showed up in pristine condition. Like I did not know how he did it. It didn't tip me off at all. Full of rubber centipedes.
Surely Big C wouldn't do anything to upset or hurt me, says Randy.
Yeah. Exactly.
I should trust Big C, unknowingly knowing that his C stands for cock and he's never been in your corner this entire time.
Funny story along those lines. Engineer Emma is very afraid of birds for whatever reason.
Oh, God.
She doesn't like birds being near her. She feels like they're going to peck her in the eyes or something. Doesn't like birds. So we're recording the show, and Andy's on one side of the table. I'm on the other. We have mics like you guys have there. And Engineer Emma would pop in and out and help and do stuff. And I think Andy sent her for something, or I can't remember. She was off in the corner. He put a big fake black bird on his microphone and then called her over to say something in the mic. And so she came over to the mic, nose to nose with this very realistic bird. It's recorded. You can hear it on the show. Screamed bloody murder, took off, and we couldn't stop laughing at her. And when we finally regained control of ourselves and looked down, her shoes were sitting right there in the exact place they were. She took off out of her shoes.
Yep.
Yeah, left her shoes behind and ran out of the room. So we're all a little flinchy.
Andy's a genius, man. He really is. I have a weird bucket list, and I started when I listened to you guys, and I get to check off some of the weirdest things, like World Traveler Jim. I got to go to Israel with him and see the world a little bit with him. But with Andy, 2010, he was thinking about starting up a travel business, and so he invited me to go to Israel with him to test it out. And yeah, he took me to Israel for about a week, and it was a blast. And only because of you guys, I met him through you.
And you blended right in there with the locals, being 7'8".
Do you keep up with World Traveler Jim now?
Yeah.
On Facebook now, World Traveler Jim is sewing clothing.
Yeah, and that's really good.
Own clothing line and shows them off on his Facebook page, and they're pretty impressive. Like whatever he decides to do, he does pretty well. So
he really does. But another thing on my never thought I'd get to check this off. I know somebody who had a prisoner escape on them. I'm like, how often do you get to tell that story?
Yeah, fortunately, that.
All of a sudden, Andy's camera froze. That's what happened.
It happened twice for me.
What? You didn't learn the first time. What happened?
Fool me once, shame on me.
Well, the first time was my fault.
At least it wasn't the same guy.
Well, it was me and Kevin the first time, so that's just fair.
Thanks, guys, by the way.
The second time was not.
No, and of course, it resolved itself before you all even told the story on the show, because I'm sure you wouldn't have told the story had it not. But Andy actually looks out for people. When I was visiting for your wedding, he took me to the jail. I got to tour it and see where all the stories happen and meet some of the people you told stories about. And I asked him, I was like, do you know what would be so cool is to take my mug shot with the sign up and it says bearcrawling.com on it. And you were going, I think we could do that. You're like, no, then you're in a database the rest of your life. Like, are you sure, man? Come on, I can put on the oranges. You're like, no, Charles, I'm going to look out for you on this one. We're not going to do that. And I appreciate that, man. Because now
I took all my kids' mug shots on tour. All my kids are in the database.
That's back in the day when you could get away with that stuff, though. Now there's no
joke. Things have changed. So, funny story, the first guy to ever escape on Andy also escaped again later on, and he's the one who ran from the courthouse, and me and another deputy intercepted him on the first floor, and in my brave and agile attempt to tackle him, I broke my shoulder and was off work for 4 months. Same guy.
And we never got to put that on the show, did we?
No, same guy, different escape. I don't think we did.
No, we were kind of done at that point, I think. Yeah.
I got a Purple Heart for that.
You did?
Yeah, I got a medal.
For breaking your shoulder doing your job.
That's how you know it was brave and agile.
I really wish we had told that story on the podcast, because it is fantastic.
Well, you guys could fire up the microphones and record another special episode, because I tell you, there are people out there waiting for it. And I happen to know a whole slew of people who could get on the internet for you.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know how I would get it online or anyone would be able to listen to it. But if someone worked that out, because Andy and I actually tried to do what's happening right here one time. We're innovators, like way before podcasts were a thing. Joe Rogan was still making fun of all those nerds doing podcasts. We were doing a podcast. We tried to do this video thing one time. It didn't work nearly as well as this is working right now. It was terrible. I think 4 people saw it.
We tried to do a call-in show one time, and that didn't work out either.
Yeah.
Technology, I don't know.
Yeah. We tried to do a live call-in show, and we basically just said, this is what time we'll be recording. So everybody call at that time. So we got a bunch of calls. And Kenty, who you were just referring to, was one of our callers. He called. We talked to him for a while. We were using a cell phone because we were not technologically savvy. So I put it on speaker and held it next to the microphone and put it down thinking we were done. And we did 3 or 4 more minutes of show. And then Ken's voice in the background said, the phone's still on.
Man. So we'll do what I do best and make it about me. What is one of the things that is stuck in your brain that I did either for or to you guys, besides the Skittles and stuff? But like, show segments, whatever. What's something fun that you remember?
The 5 and 5 I enjoyed.
Yep.
It always felt a little bit like Andy's word, narcissistic. It always, I don't know, it's our show and we record it and we play it, but for some reason playing back little bits of us for ourselves, commenting on it. I always felt a little squeamy, but I think yours was the first listener submitted theme song that we had, and I think of all of them, you and Kevin's we probably used the most. Who are the guys? Jim Sackelman and what's the name of his band? They did Bobby Brady Pants and all those. He did a version for us anyway. I'm screwing it up right now because I'm on the spot.
The letter. The Letter 17 album.
Yeah, Letter 17 is Tim and Nanette, or Tim. That he did one. We had lots of listeners submitted things that were better than they would copy a thing we were doing, and it would be so much better. Noah Tall, I think, did a version of the Jailer intro. Jailers. He did a version of it. He has a voice for radio. Just reading the back of a cereal box. It sounds way better than either one of us. And then eventually somebody actually paid money and got a professional to do it and sent it to us. And I think that's the one we used. But as far as yours, Charles, I would have to say the intro probably lasted the longest. But there was always something. There was always something on the show that you sent us.
Well, I also said the theme song was my favorite.
Yeah.
You were always such a good part of it. So to pick one, I don't know. The theme song.
I appreciate that. I mean, I really do. It was almost carte blanche to just try ideas and segments and comedy. And there's only one I ever regretted, and that was Mother Superior. And there was this thing about Silence of the Lambs and the speech. And as soon as I recorded that, I was like, that felt shitty. And y'all played it anyway, and we all went, But I think out of 500 episodes, I think that was the only one that I tried that just, for me, I was like, yeah, that didn't fucking work.
Well, see, now I'm going to have to go back because I don't know what you're talking about that was bad about that.
Remember that one joke I said 25 fucking years ago?
Well, but the raccoon died.
Oh my
we
God.
Actually a show we scrubbed because it was so bad at the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
And then there was a couple shows where I got it at the end and I said, Randy, I want you to take that part out. And so he erased that. And then there was one full show we got rid of because the jail was under a lawsuit because of an incident. And we had talked about it.
And he called me at home. I wasn't at work. And he said it was already up. It was already up and in the feed. Yep. And he called me at home and said, you got to take that down. You got to take it down right now. Don't ask me any questions. Just take it down. It's got to come down right now. Yep. Call me back when you've taken it down.
And that one is not available on the feed.
No, that's gone. I don't know.
You're missing.
Yeah.
Lost show. The guy died.
The guy we were talking about eventually died. And the jail got sued. And it was not great.
Yeah, and I just didn't want to get called into court and then, of course, lose my job subsequently.
Yeah.
That's what was going to happen.
So we did 500 and some odd episodes. We haven't talked about this too much, Charles, but you keep doing all these shows and you're kind of a big shot now. Is the royalties rolling in? The money.
Yeah. Give my lawyers will reach out to your lawyers. We got you. We got you.
He doesn't even give big shots to his wife. God damn.
Oh, that was a good one.
We did lots of shows. We never had one single sponsor. We never made a penny. We paid for everything ourselves.
Yeah. And he is keeping that tradition alive 20 years later.
You know, you guys inspired me to get into a world that I didn't know I could get into because daddy issues being aside, which I had plenty of, and you guys really just gave me a home and gave me just love and support. I was like, man, I want to give back to these guys. And so I thought it was cool. Randy, one of your favorite actresses, Christina Applegate. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then Andy, you always talked about Weird Al. And I, at just young and dumb, I was like, you know what? I'm going to get so big. I meet these people and have them like, I'm going to be with Christina Applegate and call Randy and be like, hey, listen to this and have her talk to you. Haven't made it yet. Obviously, you haven't got the voicemail, but I did get to work with Adam Curry. I've gotten to work with Jim Brewer. I've gotten to do some other. I got to sit at tables with like Adam Baldwin and a bunch of other cool people. Because of this dream that I have of one day finally meeting Weird Al, going, Andy, pick up the phone. I got your boy. Listen to this. And it's coming. It's coming.
All right.
I remember calling Kevin one night, like, Kevin, man, your band is so awesome. And it was. I mean, at the time, he was just, every time Kevin puts his heart into something, that's amazing. And I was like, man, we're going to be on Saturday Night Live one night. I'm going to host and you're going to play the music. And it's going to be amazing. And he's like, yeah, okay, cool, man. That hadn't happened yet either, but it's coming.
I feel like Kevin and I could hang out. Like me and Kevin kind of understand what we're dealing with when it comes to Charles. Like, Jesus Christ, the only thing emptier than your promises is my bank account, Charles.
Charles does dream big, that's for sure.
And to be truthful, there was something said. Because Kevin always inspired me to be metal, and I was playing music at the time and all this other stuff. But something I don't remember at the time. It's been so long. I did something. I think I got nominated for a podcast award and some other stuff was going on.
They're called potties. Potties,
the potties,
established.
yeah, the potties.
Copyrighted.
Yeah.
Patent pending.
But just different things were happening, and y'all were still doing the show. And Randy, that's where it came from. You were like, man. And I'd never heard such praise, to be honest. It was like, he's really got it together. He's going to be a rock god one day. And I was like, that's it. And just went on it. And I mean, 20 years is I keep going. And once I meet both Christina and Weird Al, then I retire. Then it's done. But that's until that time, I'm going to keep going. And it's a blast. And I've dreamed about this show. I can't tell you how many, Andy, it's been at least over the last 4 years, at least 3 or 4 times. Like, hey man, we should kind of get the band back together. We should, and Andy every day is like, yeah, you do that. We'll be there.
No. Get the band back together. There's a real hole in podcasting of middle-aged white guys. Like, it's about time, you all come out and fill that hole. I'm sure everyone's just clamoring to, fill that 45 to 75 demographic of white males.
Middle-aged.
I couldn't agree with you more. I mean, I'm still black from the waist down, but honey.
Yeah. Andy, you were talking about cutting out things from episodes and whatnot. You've never told us what you said, but there was a special episode that y'all recorded and you released the regular episode to the feed where you explained the joke, but you actually recorded a segment that you played the show like it was a real show for Jody, where you're like telling secrets or something. And you shared her reaction, which was quite funny, but you never did tell us what that secret show was.
You want to know the secret story?
Yeah.
No. No, it was very personal. Randy knew about it, and it was very personal. That's not something she'd want out there. And that I recorded the show as though I was telling it and sending out to everybody. And I just waited. And I got the call in booking when she finally listened to that segment. And I got an earful. Was it our April Fool's Day show?
I think it was April Fool's, and the thing about us is we have always been terrible at technology. Andy, believe it or not, is at least a decade behind everyone else all the time. So we all had iPods and would download the shows digitally. Andy would record them and burn them on a CD and play them in his car and send them to his mom. And that's how Jody listened to the show. So we put out our regular show with none of that on it and then recorded a special show just for Jody that he put on a disc. And that's how she heard it and thought everybody heard it. She heard it the same way she always heard it.
Yep. So it was clever and it worked. So
that was a very elaborate joke for just one person.
Yes.
Yeah.
Everybody got to share
worth it.
Yeah.
Worth
he also sent one to his mom on disc that he did send to everyone else, where he made some sort of joke about Passover is when the Easter Bunny nails Santa Claus to the cross or something like that.
I made that joke. I recall that. You were like, oh.
Andy's mom called him, and she was very upset.
Yeah, I got you in trouble with that one. I'm not sorry, but it was funny. But yeah.
Oh, that is so right up our alley.
Yeah.
Oh man,
It
straight
was very,
up.
very wrong. But yeah, Mom didn't find it funny at all.
Okay, so Joe does Wise and Nerdy with me. That's the jersey I'm wearing now. Is our show Wise and Nerdy, where fatherhood meets fandom. That's not far from the truth. I mean, podcast being a mailing list, right? We would do some guerrilla marketing where I would burn shows of Two Guys One Brain and go to the local library and just slide them into random books, and for people to check out the library and they'd find the disc to listen to.
Funny.
Kevin, I think you talked about some guerrilla marketing that way too with Underground Short Bus, if I remember right. I don't know, but
yeah, we used to do some really stupid shit. Not that what you did was stupid. That was smart. Mike and I actually used to just go to the library and steal a bunch of shit. And we thought if we got caught, then we'd make it on the news. And then we could be like wearing an Underground Short Bus shirt. But you know what? Mike never got around to printing the shirts. And so here we are. Here we are.
But Ballard
Homeless.
would go in. He would go into the Apple store and get on every computer and bring up either Underground Short Bus or Two Guys One Braid and leave them up on the computers as people came in to buy computers.
On all of them. On all of them. I mean, it was the craziest thing in the world. And he'd send me pictures of it and video and shit like that. And I'd be rolling. That guy, because he almost had like a British sense of humor, you know, that dry, like he could tell a joke and I'd just be spitting, like I'd be dying, and he'd do something like, "Oh my God, I can't believe you're doing that shit." You know, like he didn't care. He was pretty funny.
Yeah, he could keep a straight face better than anybody for sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, the question I really have always had, because you always doubt what you do, is why me? Why the hell did you let me do everything that I did on your show?
Well, like Andy said, you were the first one who was willing. You did send in the most stuff.
We tried to stop. We tried.
Yeah.
Give it to Mikey. He'll eat anything.
Yeah. I said, Andy, we got 8 minutes to fill on this show. Should we do that Charles thing, or you want to just stir oatmeal and record that? And he said,
Yeah, Charles. Yeah.
Now I need your brain working, Andy. I have to. We cannot end the show tonight without un momento en español.
Oh,
you know. That was every show, guys. Every show, right, Kevin? You would always look forward to the weird ass phrase that he would have to say in Spanish.
Lots of things came and went on the show. There was the haiku. We did two guys haikus for a while, but Momento en Español hung out the longest for sure. And it had a little theme song that I always thought was Spanish music.
That's right, yeah.
And it turns out we did a show where we just did all music. So the intro songs that we had that everybody submitted, we played those. All the music we used on the show, and then all the songs that Andy, parody songs that Andy had done. It was just one show. It was all music. And I played the theme song to Momento en Español, and it turned out it was Japanese. At some point, somebody started singing in Japanese, and I was like, "Oh shit! We've done 400 episodes with this music, and it's not even Spanish."
Here we go, Dave.
That's my son right there, giving love to Mike Awesome and Kevin Destruction right there.
Yeah.
Oh, Dave, I love you, man.
Can't we blame Kevin Destruction on Dave being a UFC fighter for a little while?
Dave did shorten my life. See, you guys, I would have lived to be 100, but the clock is ticking for me right now because people do stuff that takes years off the end of my life all the time. Dave is one of those guys. He was doing it wasn't UFC is the league, but he was doing MMA fighting and
oh, sorry, yeah, guys.
Yeah, he was good at it, but he had an odd style where he would fight from the bottom, and it would look like he was getting the tar beat out of him, and then his long gangly legs would wrap around somebody's neck, and they would just pass out on top of him, and he would win. So I got to the point where I could watch him fight from the bottom because I was telling myself in my heart he was winning. But watching someone you love fight in a sport where the goal is to lose consciousness, it took a lot out of me.
I believe, if I'm not mistaken, in MMA they just call that a power bottom.
Yeah,
I learned that at Sunday school at the local church.
Yeah, I'm not sure it's MMA, but yes.
It's so hot.
Yeah, thank you, Father McNally.
It's so hot. Oh.
And Randy, or Andy rather, now that you're back, what does this say?
What does what say?
It's on. I don't know if it pops up on the phone. I'm gonna try to pronounce it. Tu tienes las papas en su pantalones porque tu eres loco.
Mucho taco.
It's something about your daddy's pants.
Yeah, there's something. Yeah, no, nope, I don't get that one.
Me either. Rachel, who forbid you to speak her name on the show for many, many years.
Oh my!
No. She did a lot of voiceover stuff. She did a lot of things for us. She has a really good radio voice and does a lot of voice acting. Did on the show anyway. She did a lot of good things for us there.
She was the smart one.
Emma is probably the smartest of all of us.
Well, I might argue with that because she didn't understand that remember when Rock Band came out or Guitar Hero, and she was just obsessed with it. And there was no way I was going to beat her on this, but I had that rivalry with her. So I searched the internet and found like a record-breaking impossible score and sent it in like it was my score. And I think for the better part of a year, she tried to beat that score. And I just laughed and laughed every time you reported it.
Yes, she is very single-minded and focused. And yes, that doesn't surprise me at all. She may still secretly have that somewhere.
Phil, what other questions do you have, man?
Well, it's not really a question. It's more the fact that like it's been fun tonight to actually hang out with the three of you and kind of, hear these stories of Charles that I had no idea about, right? But also because you guys took a chance on this shaved Chewbacca 20 years ago, I don't know if you guys realize this, like it's pretty much opened a door to a whole new generation of content creators, right? Me personally, right? I was content creating about a year before I met Charles, and Charles kind of got a hold of our show, tried to get on it, but I knew better. But what he ended up doing was he took what we had and put it in front of a bigger audience. And so now every year, me and my crew, we come down to Atlanta, Georgia, and we put on a live show for about 500 to 600 people every year, right? And so, like, without you guys taking a chance and over-inflating one's ego, which is still not deflated since, like, there's a lot of people that, like, don't know that you exist, but should be thanking you because of the opportunities that Charles has given them, just because you guys gave him a chance. So it's kind of like, you guys gave him a chance and now he's like repaying his dues to society by giving new, younger creators a chance to get their voice heard. So it's just, for me, it's been bittersweet. I'm sorry that I have to hold on to this shaved mastiff from now on. But really, it's been really wonderful, and hearing all these wild stories, and also, like, it's also sad that he hasn't changed in 20 years. Like, he's still pulling the same bullshit that he was with you guys. Like, I haven't been drunk with him at Vegas, but I've been drunk with him, and he's definitely put me in a headlock before. So
get out of it before you pass out.
Yeah, it's been really cool and really fun, and I just want to thank three of you for taking time out of your Randy, you shitting, and Andy, you shitting, and Kevin, I don't know if you're in a bathroom, but for you, I guess that wouldn't really matter. So
I'm shitting right now. It doesn't matter.
I knew it. I could tell. The grimacing.
Yeah.
Snacks in your bathroom. Jesus Christ.
My legs are asleep. Is that weird?
Yeah.
Ooh, my legs fell asleep.
But I appreciate it. I really do. And it's been a fun night tonight.
I feel like every time now, because Andy just went like 10 minutes ago, got something to drink. And I feel like that baseball game where you're racing the mascot and they give you like an hour head start. Like I've been drinking my drink all night. And Andy's like, watch this. I'm going to outrun you, beat you to the finish line, baby. He's down in it, man. I do want to say thank you to all three of you. It has been.
Aww.
Shut the fuck up. It has been.
I'm also here, you dickhead. Like, you can just say four.
You're like third generation coattail. So Andy, you're riding Andy's coattails off of my coattails.
You've been oh man. I can't wait. I'm gonna beat the fuck out of you when I
feel
see
like the
you.
screen should have just went black just then. That would have been hilarious.
Yeah. But
well, thank you both very much for having me. I appreciate it and inviting me. It was great. And Kevin,
thank you,
man. It's been forever.
Dude, it's so good to see you guys. I miss you guys so much. I mean, this was
the voices, right? Hearing the voices again is just insane. It's great.
Yeah, it's so great to see you guys and hear you, and just it's like going right back in time. And
yep,
I'm just right back there, man. I miss you guys so much.
Let's all commit arson together on this date in a year. And it'll be kind of our send-off. Every year we all meet in an undisclosed location, set a church or a school on fire, laugh as it burns, and then we go on our ways.
In the immortal words of the Afghan Wigs, I'll get the car, you get the match and gasoline.
Oh God, I remember that song.
We'll see you there, Mike.
Yeah.
But I do want to say this. What you said is right, Phil. The world has changed because of Andy and Randy's voice. Using their voice, telling your stories, just being full of love and humor, and everything you talked about, whether you're angry or not, never had a lick of hate in it. And you just showed me a different way. So for every door that I can open, because of that, every celebrity table I can talk myself into, every big deal that I can become, is because you guys read my email and then just kept on letting me do what I do and encouraged me in it. And the world's a better place for it. And you need to know that. You need to know that what you did changed the world.
Well, we're sure proud of you, Big C.
Yeah.
Well, thank you.
I am so proud, brother.
You're gonna be on Saturday Night Live, Kevin. I promise. It's coming. It's coming.
Yeah, but it's gonna be during the news segment for something stupid.
Hey, I'm just so honored to be part of this. This is so cool.
And seriously, I know Randy, you're on your way to sudden death and retirement. Andy, I know you're probably a few years behind him, but you have microphones. You've got people. No matter what happens, no matter when I host the Oscars, I'll drop your name. And then I expect you to be like, yeah, we're going to record an episode. Can you figure out how to put on the internet for us? I'm like, fuck yeah, I can.
If I give you the password to my hosting site, you could probably get my feed working again. There's 500 shows there that if you haven't heard any of them, they
yeah, I already planned on going. By the way, I keep putting it up all night. It's 2g1b.com. We have it on the screen. It works. I went and verified it before I put it up. The episodes are still there. You can listen. I was just going to download all of them and put them on Spotify and call it the 2G Restoration Project. But yeah, if you send me the damn password, I can get your feed working.
We'll do it.
That'd be great. And Kevin?
Yes, sir.
You gotta say it one last time. Sign the show off. For Hugh. Do it for Hugh.
Hugh, I just want to say this to you, brother. With my pants off, blackout, man.
Screw you, Frenchie.
We'll see you next week, nerds.
Love you guys.